This is
The Grove Podcast.
Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 177 of The Grove Podcast, brought to you by the words clear and obvious. Now, the only thing that wasn't clear and obvious about the decision by VAR to send the ref to the monitor to re-referee the game was that it was most certainly not a clear and obvious mistake. But what can you do? And like Miguel, I was fuming last night, a bit more sanguine this morning, but yeah, horrible decision. And yeah, it potentially completely changed the complexion of the tie, but it is what it is, and we are where we are. So look, today I'm flying solo again, due to timings and availability of the other co-hosts, live and stuff, but that's all good. Pod's got to get recorded, right? And, you got to get the content out there. So you have the pleasure or displeasure of me, myself and I for the next 30 minutes or so. So, hopefully you can stick with it. Anyway, thank you for listening. I'm recording this the morning after the game from my accommodation in Madrid, and very much unlike Lisbon, where I could see the stadium from a window. I can see absolutely nothing from my room as there are no windows, but it is 15 minutes from the stadium. So at least getting back last night was easy. And unlike other European trips, it really was easy. They only kept us back for about 10, 15 minutes, which is a lot less than usual 30, 40 to an hour, that they normally do. And there was no police escort or unnecessary aggression like in Lisbon. So, you know, we were actually treated like humans, and guess what? We reacted like humans. And so I guess there's a lesson to be learned there by the club. So, but yeah, good to experience that. And as for the stadium, yeah, it was pretty spectacular. You could see it from quite far out when you're walking to the ground. It sort of looms in the distance. All very easy to get in. Fans mingling and walking up to the stadium together. I understood there were some issues before the game, tear gas, rubber bullets, which is quite frightening. But I'm not sure if it was Arsenal or Atlético fans, but the group we were with, we all missed that. And yeah, it felt similar to the experience that we had going to the Bill game in terms of, you know, both teams being red and white. So I guess that also helps in terms of a lack of distinction between the supporters or Arsenal fans sticking out. But yeah, it just seemed to be good atmosphere going to the ground, people mingling, people chatting. Yeah, all really good. And then once you get into the stands, it's incredible. It's spectacular again. The noise was incredible. The noise that the bowl makes. Yeah, an amazing sight. And again, the red and white everywhere. So it felt very familiar. We had a great view in the away end, apart from the netting, of course. But what for me felt a bit odd was that I was quite calm. It's a Champions League final, and somehow it didn't feel too intense, too nervy. We sort of took it all in our stride. I mean, the fans were excited. They were in great spirits, great voice, and hopefully you heard that on TV if you were there, if you watched it on TV. But it sort of passed me by that this was a Champions League semi-final. Now, I'm not taking this for granted. It's just that it sort of felt normal. Yeah, hard to explain. Maybe European away trips, there's more to think about than just the game. It's as much about the travel and the experience, who you go with. They tend to be less stressful occasions in terms of matches in general. So sometimes, not that you forget about the match itself, but the match is not the one and only thing that you think about. So, and maybe because it's the first leg, so whatever happens, it's not terminal. It's not decided there and then. And I'm certain next week at the Emirates, it's going to be a very, very, very different story. And I'm sure that'll be very nervy and it will feel very big. But yeah, look, anyway, it's a real privilege and pleasure to be there. Had great fun. Had a great bunch of people we were there with, and a shout out to Moz from the pod, who said he's going to be too knackered to record this morning. So I hope you enjoyed your evening. Alan, my roommate, Jermaine, Alex, Gareth, Damien, just to name a few. So yeah, we had a really good time. So yeah, so very lucky to be here. Very much enjoyed it. And on to the game itself. 1-1 away to Atlético Madrid in the Champions League semi-final is a very good result. Let's not make any bones about that. That is a very result against the team that have scored something like 3 or more goals in 6 of their last 8 home matches. They have a very good home record. The crowd massively gets behind them. Yeah, it's an intense atmosphere. So yeah, that is a very good result. And look, we now remain unbeaten in the Champions League this season. And, yes, we had chances to come away with the lead, take it back to the Emirates. And we'll get to that. But we could also have lost given that second half performance. So I think if we're being totally honest with ourselves, 1-1 is a pretty fair result. And I think one that many of us would have taken before kickoff. And to be honest, I think when it got to the final stages again, there were some chances. I think both teams were settling for 1-1. So yeah, we'll take that. And I guess if we look ahead to next week, it gives us clarity in what we have to do next week. Another 1-0 to the Arsenal, we'll do it. And from last night, I don't think there's anything for us to fear. Yes, they are a good team with dangerous players like Alvarez and Griezmann and Lookman. They can cause us trouble, but we can absolutely beat them over 90, possibly 120. So, and hopefully we'll have a few more players back fit to add to the team, to supplement the first 11, supplement the squad and add to our attacking options primarily. And who knows, we could be on our way to Budapest come, was it 10 o'clock next Tuesday? So yeah, fingers crossed for that. But onto last night, and yeah, the team news came out, and hour 15 before kickoff, and I don't know if it's hard to tell if we had Fulham on our minds, but I doubt it. I mean, this is a Champions League semi-final; you've got to go for it. So we had Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié at the back, Rice, Mendy, Odegaard in midfield, and then Madueke, Gyökeres, and Martinelli. I think the main talking points were no Eze, so potentially still feeling something from the weekend. I'm pretty sure he would have played if he was 100% fit. White was at right back. I was potentially expecting Mosquera. Again, White playing back-to-back games. Mosquera's experiencing in playing in Spain, but maybe the size of the game, having a young player rather than experienced Ben White. So, but that's fine. Either one, it's fine. But primarily, everyone's concerns was about the trio up front of Madueke, Gyökeres, and Martinelli. And look, we all know that it hasn't really worked. Now, whether we've tried it to try something in the past or in the main, it's because no one's been available. We had very little choice but to play this 3 because of fitness issues. Now, we know the ball doesn't stick with them. They're all about speed, balls over the top, trying to take on players one-on-one, dribbles, etc. Not that they've been hugely successful in the past, but it doesn't really, they don't really help our possession play. But to be fair, I think they did well last night. I think especially Madueke and Gyökeres, I think they did well. Maybe Europe suits that more. Maybe playing Atlético Madrid suits that more. So it wasn't so much, especially in the first half, so much of an issue as it has been in the past. And I have alluded to the first half and the second half, and yeah, it was sort of a game of two halves. And I don't know if the stats truly reflect that. I think first half, second half stats, but I don't have those to hand. But if you look at the sort of the momentum of the game, it's like first half is predominantly, second half very predominantly Atlético Madrid. But overall, 52% possession to our 48, so fairly even. 2.2 XG to our 1.5. Okay, granted, 0.8 of those are penalties. They're 18 shots to our 11. They had 4 on target to our 2. They had 3 big chances to our 2. They missed a couple of big chances. We missed our 1. So, 7 fouls to our 11. They had 6 corners to our 1. So, I think again, fairly even, and I think you'll take that in an away leg in the Champions League. But how the game panned out, it was sort of, as I said, like the game kicks off, and even before when they're doing the standing for the Champions League anthem, you get the full athletic experience. I mean, the whistles, the noise, the place is bouncing, and within 1 minute, Alvarez has a shot blocked. I think within Capia slipping, but so they sort of tried to get out the blocks fast. But I think credit to us, we took this thing out of the game, and I think we had a really composed, first half, especially 5, 10, 15 minutes, into the game, even the first half hour. I think we kept the ball well. I think we frustrated them, quietened the crowd. You can sense it, and the Arsenal fans were really in good voice and sort of dominating the noise. And hopefully, as I said, that came across. And I think the 31st minute was when we had our first, one of our first real moments, where sort of Madueke cuts inside, and he hits a great shot with his left foot, and it's just wide of that. Black, he was scrambling, but you could feel the confidence building. So for us, but I guess before that, again, I said as part of Atleti's wave of attack, 15 minutes, Ray has to make a big save. There's a few crosses, a long throw, gets a bit scrappy at times, but I think Saliba and Gabriel were monsters at the back. A really good performance, dealing with everything. I think Hincapié was brilliant too. He seemed to be stepping in midfield. He was doing his Calafiori impression, giving her an extra brilliant possession. So I think just in general, comfortable with the first half. I think we dominated. I think we were the better team, and then in the 44th minute we get the breakthrough that I think our play deserves. 42nd minute, I think some nice play in around the box. It ends up with Gyökeres, and the defender just runs straight into the back of him, and I think a stonewall penalty, really. I think there's too many arguments, but checks it, but it stands. There's no need to go for the monitor for that one. And then Victor is the man to take it. He's great at penalties, and he actually leathers it into the bottom left-hand corner as you're facing the goal. And even though All Black goes the right way and maybe gets near it, I think there's too much power in it, so you can forget it, and I don't think there's anything stopping that. And so 1-0 to the Arsenal, that famous scoreline. And for Victor, that's 20. He's converted each of his last 27 penalty takers, 27 penalties for club and country, and a run stretching back to March 2024. So he is the man from the spot. And I think a word on Vic. I think he played really well last night. He polarizes people. He's in the Premier League with, it doesn't look like he's up to the level. We know he tries, we know he runs. His best ability is his availability. We wouldn't be where we are without him. And give him his dues. I think in that first half, he proper number 9 performance, leading the line, making runs. He had that brilliant run to set up the chance for Odegaard, where maybe Odegaard could have shot first time, but the way he did that, I think he was causing Atleti the defense issues all that first half, really battling, a real presence. And we shouldn't hand wave the penalty. It's a pressure moment in a pressure game, and he puts it away. So I think fair play to him last night. So we go into half time, 1-0, Champions League semi-final away from home. It was almost a perfect first half performance, perfect 45. The big question is, can we keep it up? Now, before we get to the second half, apparently, there was a moment at halftime. I've seen it on the socials. A bit of nonsense in the tunnel, which involved Ben White, our shithouser, expert, between I think Simeone and then Atlético player. I didn't know which one, and something along the lines of Ben then being upset because Ben walked over the club crest when entering the tunnel, and they felt it was disrespectful. And I'm sorry, this is just a load of utter contrived bollocks. The club crest is not sacred. And if they don't want people to walk on it, don't put it exactly where people will walk on it when they're entering and exiting the tunnel. It's just nonsense. This thing in Spain is like, I'm not having it. And I really hope Ben did it on purpose, because we can't be having this. It's just nonsense. These sacred crest. I really see that, Rio Ferdinand doing it around Madrid and stuff like that. It's bollocks. Not having it. So anyway, on to the second half, and unfortunately we could not keep it up. Our first half performance, I think that maybe we were expecting a response from Atleti. Maybe it was our fatigue. Maybe it was Ben White pissing them off. I don't know, but they came out and they were so much better, much more intense. They pressed much better, and we were unable to respond. We were just unable to respond, and it was pretty much night and day between the two halves, and you could see it from the off, and then as the Atlético got going, the crowd got going, and there was a symbiotic relationship there, and we sort of just were saying to the guys next to me, we just need to ride this out, need to ride out this intensity, but we just couldn't do it, and the pressure was building. And we weren't able to get that control back. I mean, I think Lookman forces a save on 53. Griezmann hits the bar on 63, which is a huge moment. And the whole stadium just lifts. You could just feel the atmosphere. But, but before that, before the Griezmann shot, 54 minutes was when they get the equaliser. There's a handball. It hits Ben White's, is it left hand, from close range, sort of ricochets up his leg. And look, in Europe, that's how it goes. We saw against Bayern, very soft handball penalty. Yeah, for me, the ball's not going towards goal. It deflects off his shin. What's he denying? What's he supposed to do with his arm? It's there to keep balance. I don't think he's making his body bigger. And so from just sort of nothing, Atleti get a 0.8 XG chance of a goal, and it wasn't as bad as the call the night before, as I said, but I don't know, and maybe this will, hopefully UEFA will have a look at the handball rule, and because the rule's there, but I don't think the application of it is right. I think something needs to be clarified on it, but who knows, who has a clue? But I think the one thing we know, they're consistent in giving terrible handball decisions in Europe. We know how it is, and we suffered it into the other year, last year. I don't know if we've benefited in the past, maybe we have, but it's nonsense from a nothing situation to having basically 0.8 chance of scoring a goal. It's nonsense. And up steps Alvarez, and he sort of buries it. But the one thing also to say is that Rare, in his moving around on the spot, didn't put him off, and in fact what it looked like to us, because he didn't dive, he wasn't set, so his feet weren't planted, he wasn't set, he had his weight distribution wasn't right, and yes, as much as it was a good penalty by Alvarez, Rare should, I would suggest, be doing better from there, and maybe just focus on the diving aspect and trying to save it. But there you go, something to look at. So it looked like we were wobbling a bit. As I said, Griezmann hit the bar, and then also very soon after that, after the equaliser, we were hanging on, and I think Lookman volleys over at 65, I think, and then 74. There's a huge chance, and really I think Lookman should score. Anything to the wide left of Rare, that's a goal, and he fluffs his lines, hits it straight at Rare, and I think we got away with that, and we just can't really get into the game, really. But we make some subs. We make some subs. We take off the front three. We bring also Odegaard has to come off. So we bring on Saka. We bring on Jesus. We bring on Eze. We bring on Trossard, and to try and regain control, to try and have some technical players. Even though Trossard, the first thing he does is almost give Ray a chance for them to score. But I think the idea is that we need to just get some control of the ball, and I think we did do an element of that. And from that, 78th minute, Saka slips the ball into Eze. He gets there first, and then there's clear contact, by the Atleti defender. Player steps on his ankle and his foot, So it's a foul. It's a foul outside the box. It's a foul inside the box, and the ref points for a penalty. And to be honest, in the stands, we weren't really sure what was going on. We were actually, it was all a bit muted or whatever the word is. Muted, and then like, oh, he's pointing for a penalty, and it was very, very bizarre. But yeah, hey, we'll take it. But then the longer it went on, we could sense some BS happening, and yeah, look, we all know what happened. The ref gets sent to the monitor, and 99 times out of 100, he's changing his mind. He's been told, I think you need to look at this, and he's been told to second guess. He's been told to re-referee the game, and it is nonsense. That he steps in his ankle, he steps on his foot. There's nothing clear and obvious about that an error the ref has made. I don't know what he's been told to look at. I don't know what the issue was, and the ref should stick by his convictions. He saw it there in real time, which is not there to re-ref moments. And look, I'm not one for scrapping VAR. I think VAR gets a ton of criticism, and rightly so. And I do feel it can work, and I think it can benefit the game, but it's so poorly implemented, so badly used, that I can see why people would want to scrap it. I think it is a potentially good thing, but it's also potentially ruining games. So it's annoying. It's a shame. And I think it's very easy to get right. In the end, was it soft? Yeah, maybe. Was there contact? Definitely. But, and that ain't getting overturned if that's in the Atleti ends, in our penalty box. So there we go. So look, we don't get it. But I think from then we sort of, had a bit of a surge of confidence, as it was looking dangerous, as he sets up Mascara in the 87th for a save, Saka sort of has moments of brilliance, but it's flockiness, and Nketiah nearly gets through late in the 96 minutes with chance after good work by Saka. Atleti a bit dangerous. I think on the 94th minute, they also had a shot by Molina that was absolutely levered, but but just over the bar. But look, I don't. We held on. They held on. I think at the end, as I said, I think both teams were sort of also happy for the draw. They weren't really committing to try and win the game, because I think they were too afraid of what they could lose. But if opportunities arose, they did it. So yeah, look, all in all, I said a game of two halves. There was control, chaos, VAR, woodwork, tension. So yeah, everything you expect from a semi-final. It wasn't quite PSG versus Bayern, and I had my thoughts on that in terms of the goals were all great, but where's the defending? But I still think a very good, high quality game, highly technical game, great atmosphere. So yeah, I think there was a lot to like on last night in a different way, and the tide is alive. The tide is very, very much alive. And I think if you go to the Emirates with our crowd, with our energy in the crowd, so maybe not so the players, we have players returning from injury, hopefully with the football we can produce with them in the lineup, against a team that we've really beaten 4-0 this year. We can absolutely finish this, and we can absolutely win it. We can absolutely make it to Budapest, and I for one cannot wait. But before then, we have Fulham, and I'll get to Fulham in a moment. And before we do that, a couple of things. We'll get to your 3-word reviews too. But as a reminder, if you to like and subscribe and follow at the Grove AFC on the podcast apps, on Apple, on Spotify, on our YouTube channel at the Grove AFC. It does help. Helps with the algorithm, helps spread the word, helps get the subscribers and the numbers up, and yeah, helps the show tremendously. So if you've done so in the past, great. If you can just spend a couple of minutes now doing it, even better. We do track it, and we do appreciate it, and we thank you for doing that. Right, on to your 3-word reviews, which I like to do as a thing, just to capture the essence of how people are feeling post game, immediately after the game. But in 3 words, some provide more, some provide less. I don't think it's too difficult a concept to grasp, but yeah. So on to Blue Sky, and yeah, I think you can guess what most people are talking about. So Blue Sky, Mr. C. Laguna, ref had Shocker, Hans Lejeune, bogus penalty awakenings. Now, he said, I'm sure I'll understand what he means by that in only 3 words. And I was meant to look it up, I haven't. So maybe, Hans, you can explain, but definitely the bogus penalty decision in terms of rescinding it. Yes, bit awake. Dynamite Shaft says Arteta was outcoached. I wouldn't say that. I would say that first half we were the better team. Second half they were the better team. Is that coaching? Is that fitness? Yeah, don't know. And Greg said promised more Rice. So yes, promised more at half time. Rice was indeed. So on to threads. North Bank Pod, friends from the North Bank. Steph, fuck these refs. Yeah, indeed. Flood Cole. Now this is only 2 words, but I'll allow it. Fuck VAR. 100%. Robin Kent SF. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm sure there were very many oh my God moments through that. The Johnny Man. Let's go home. Yeah, we'll get it done at home. And then Jelak 145 14414. Win next week. Yeah, that's all it will take. And WTFI Jordan Stonewall penalty reversed. Yeah, 100%. So on to the Grove WhatsApp group. We have Chi. Scrap VAR, please. Oh, well, you know my thoughts on VAR, so it is. But yes, I understand that. Rahima, home ground advantage. Yeah, we have to make the most of that next week. And yeah, Darwit with another Emirates decider. So let's hope so. Matt Stacey, bigging out Eze. Eze has arrived, and yeah, I think he had a fantastic cameo when he came on. He looked a threat. He looked a really classy player, and he may lose the ball occasionally, but what he offers going forward is fantastic. And Adams ends it with fuck off VAR. So again, we know where we are with this. But what can we do? What can we do? So thank you for sending those through, and yeah, it sums it up quite nicely. So as I said, on to Fulham. On to Fulham in terms of the game that sits between us and our second semi-final. Look, Atlético will have their feet up now. They'll sack off the weekend game, rest everyone, and they'll come again Tuesday. Yeah, we're not going to have that luxury. We've got Fulham. We've got to rotate, I would imagine. We've got to recover. We've got to go again, and it's Premier League action. The intensity and nervousness of the Premier League, but it's a chance. And again, another chance. We're full of opportunity at the moment. It's a chance to go 6 points clear of City, as they don't play until Monday night away to Everton. And that's going to be a tricky game. So yeah, huge potential to be in a very good place come Tuesday, come next Wednesday evening. Next Tuesday evening. So, but talking of Monday night football, I have to say what a disgrace it is moving our Burnley game to Monday night at such short notice. It's our last home game of the season. I've heard of so many fans impacted by this, either now not being able to go to the game and they were like first games, going with their families, going with their kids, or having to, loads of people having to pay to make changes to arrangements and costly changes. And then there's the Burnley fans too. They're being impacted by this. They've got to get home late on a Monday evening, which is very hard. Yeah, so it's just horrible the way they do this, and at such short notice, and also it's when we do our lap of appreciation now. Yeah, whether you like those or not, whether you stay or don't, they get done, and people do stay for them, but it's going to be crap. There's going to be less fans there. People with their kids, their families will have to get home late on a Monday, and look, even if there's even a chance of us winning the league that night. Now, look, City have to drop 4 or 5 points over the next 9. Yeah, so look, the likelihood is it won't be decided that night. But if there's a chance of it, it just makes it even more ridiculous that they're moving to Monday night. I mean, it's nonsense. You don't want this big game, the potential champions winning game on a Monday. But what can you do? You do a deal with the devil, and the devil wants his due. So yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible, and I feel sorry for all those impacted by it. But before then, as I said, it is Fulham. We play who are currently sitting in 10th on 48 points. I think they seem to be in this scrap for a couple of the European places that, you know, you got Brentford on 48, Chelsea on 48, Bournemouth on 49, Brighton on 50. So all scrapping for like 6th or 7th place, basically. Yeah, I'm not too sure what to make of Fulham's. They did, you know, they won 14. Well, they're 10th. They are very, you know, won 14, lost 14, drew 6. They scored 44, let in 46 or 48 points. So 10th in the league out of 20. It's a very middling performance, middling, middle of the table. But it's just because it's so congested, being 10th, even 11th, like, you know, Everton are 11th for 47 points. Sunderland are 12th and 46. So all of them are contending for this potential European spot. So they'll have something to fight for. They'll have something to play for. Whether that will benefit us because they want to go for it, I still think for them a point will be a good result for them. So I don't think they're going to come out too fast, too hard. You know, Everton behind them have to play City, so they might bank on that. But a win for them, you know, could give them the best chance of Europe. So maybe they'll go for it. Maybe leaving us space. It depends on how we can exploit that. You know, we played Newcastle last week, who've got nothing really to play for. They could be difficult. We've been troubled by Fulham in the past. Maybe it's time to pay Fulham back for what they've done to us in the past. And look, their run of games, you know, the last year, okay, they beat Aston Villa at home last week, but before that, drew 0-0 away to Brentford, lost away to Liverpool. Okay, they beat Burnley 3-1 at home, drew away to Forest, lost at home to West Ham United, beat Spurs at home, beat Sunderland away, but then they had a run back in February of losing to City, Everton at home, and Man United. So, yeah, I think their position, their points, their stats just sum who they are. They win some, they lose some, they draw some. They've only drawn 6, so they mostly win or lose. So in their away form, 1-4, drawn 4, lost 9, 4-16 against 27. So yeah, there's an opportunity for us that we have to go for it. We need the 3 points. Again, we have to go for it. We can't do anything but win. It's going to be like that every, you know, one game at a time. We take this and then we see what happens. We go into West Ham the following week. So, you know, we'll have a few of the ex-Arsenal coming back, you know, with Leno in goal. You know, Smith Rowe, I think he's been getting a few games of late. It seems though that Iwobi is injured, which love to see him at the Emirates, but quite pleased. He's a strong player for them. Kenny Tete is injured as well, and Ryan Sessegnon is injured as well. So, you know, they're a team to be beaten. They've got some players that can cause damage. I mean, Wilson's been having the season of his life and comes up with a goal. Jimenez is dangerous, dangerous up front. You know, so they can cause trouble with their players as well. So, but yeah, their top rated players are Tete and Iwobi. So it's good that if they are out, they're out. I never trust their bottom of 100%. So yeah, we have to win. No choice. Let's hope it's not as nervy as the Newcastle game. I think the Atlético result will buoy the crowd. The fact that we've got the Champions League chance on the Tuesday will buoy the crowd. But yeah, we need to get out there, start fast, get the goals, take control, and just don't do anything dumb, and put ourselves 6 points clear and put the pressure back onto Man City, and fingers crossed they screw up against Everton. But there we go. So look, thank you for putting up with me for 35 minutes or so. I do appreciate it if you're still listening. I've got a train to catch. I've got to get back to Valencia, to catch a train to Valencia to fly out from there. So all that leaves me to say is again, thank you. You can follow us on Threads, Blue Sky, Insta, TikTok, YouTube channel, Apple and Spotify at The Grove AFC. So leave a comment, like, subscribe, get involved. Really helps. Really appreciate it, and we try and respond to everyone. And yeah, next pod will be after Fulham, second leg of the Madrid game, and that's it. There we go. Thank you for listening. We've got this. Fingers crossed. Let's do this. And until the next time, come on you Gunners.